Creative Questions, the podcast where we attempt to review various creative projects we ourselves are part of, and or other people's unique creations in an attempt to celebrate the creative inspiration in all of us. I am Desiree Silver, your host and owner of New Nerd Novelties and hashtag Own Your Weird Lifestyle brand.
And I'm her co-host, Liam Hewlett, back at it again after a little hiatus due to some construction, with our first ever guest on the show. Dad, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Well, my name is Howard Hewlett, and guess what? I'm dad to both of these guys. And I'm not quite sure what you want in an introduction. I'm just the dad guy.
Right. Well, that gives us a little bit of who you are, but how about why we brought you onto the podcast, which is specifically we wanted to talk about some of the renovations that you've done around the family home and just how much work that you've put into it and some of the amazing results that you've gotten out of the amount of effort that you've put into this place. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring you on here today to talk about, is just the amount of stuff that you've done on the house. It's quite staggering. And I guess my first question would be, like, where did you start? Because that's something I don't think I actually really quite know, is what would have been like one of your first renovations that you can remember?
The first renovation?
Yeah.
Good heavens. You know, I'm a little long in the tooth. Your mom and I owned a condominium or a townhouse in Port Moody way back BC, before children. And that's kind of where I started. We had an unfinished basement, and I wasn't happy with this little kitchen stuck in a nook in the corner, so I started tearing out walls and renovating the basement, or trying to at any event. I was kind of a neophyte at the time. This was back in the early 80s. That's where I started anyways.
I don't think we heard about that before. Did you manage to finish it?
Did I finish it? No. We wound up with, I wound up on strike where I worked. And, well, the strata fee and the mortgage wasn't all that onerous. I was the only one working at any sort of a job that would support us, so I had to sell the house. So I did finish up a little bit. Your mom did a bunch of creative work, making macrame hangers and stuff like that. I cleaned up and finished the main living area, and we wallpapered the walls in the bedrooms and stuff like that, just to make it pretty for sale. But I never did finish the basement room.
Yeah, that is... Because I've never actually asked that question. I don't think I've never know what would be the first thing that you did house-wise. That's definitely not the first thing that you ever did creative-wise, though. We definitely have some stuff lying around the house from your high school days that you worked on, in like metalworking and woodworking.
Well, that sort of thing I was always interested in. I'd like to say I'm pretty smart, but I ain't that smart. And the academic program in high school at the time was pretty much just a little much for me. You know, I wasn't way into mathematics or physics or chemistry or biology. I wasn't really good at that. But I loved to work with my hands, and I learned that from my grandfather. He built 3 houses that I'm aware of when I was a kid, and he built them from scratch. He had some friends help him out, but basically that's what he did when I was growing up. He was kind of the only real male mentor I had, and I admired my grandpa's work. So when I got into high school, I went into an academic technical program, which required me to do a bit of basic math and so on. But I had sort of a mix and match of metalwork, electrical, automotive, woodworking, that sort of thing, and I was always interested in it. But being high school level, of course, I wasn't all that good at it, but it was a start.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Nobody's ever good when they start out. But I've definitely, and I think both of us, Desiree and I, have gotten that desire to work with our hands. I always have to have something to do with my hands. Even if I'm just watching something, I have to be doing something.
I'm currently crocheting, otherwise it will make noise and I will ruin the podcast. So
Right.
Yeah, I have to do something with my hands too, so...
Well, and it's because of the construction around your place, we haven't got together for over a week. What have you been doing during that time, sis?
Well, besides wanting to murder the neighbors, which is very much frowned upon, I hear. Well, we're on the west coast here. It's very wet, so it keeps raining. So this is just going to take forever. They have to do their whole roof. And my husband goes outside for a cigarette all the time, and it looks like that damn thing was leaking over 5 or 6 or 7 places. Like, it's bad. They're redoing the whole roof.
Yeah, well, if they're going to take that long working on a roof in Vancouver, of course it's going to leak.
Well, they probably didn't notice till the first rainfall, and then something really bad leaked. And then they're like, oh, we need to change the roof now that it's rainy season. Anyway. The generator and the hammers may or may not kick in, and there's no way I can filter those out. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I can't hear them at the moment. So.
No, at the moment. Thank goodness. It's still raining off and on. That's why I think those guys might fall off the roof if they're not careful. But I have
generally doesn't stop roofers. But.
No, really doesn't. They're a bunch of crazies. I went to a market called Spooktacular, which is actually a market done by the head oncology nurse at Surrey Memorial Cancer Ward. And she's been doing it for a couple years, and I've been there once before. This is the only market that survived COVID this year. I was going to do 3 Halloween-based markets. This is the only one that survived.
And you already did it, or are you looking forward to it?
It was on Saturday, and 5 hours. It was only 5 hours, and we did pretty good. We did almost as good as the previous market, which was a full 8 to 10 hours, and it was by donation. They made like $1,600 for the Cancer Society. And this one's a family friendly, so they had face painting and balloon animals and a giant bouncy castle that were all donated. They had those giant skeletons, the 12-foot ones that everybody covets. There was a couple of those, and they were all donated for the decorations. It was really good. My friend Teal and I went, and we were put beside a little girl that made and sold slime, who was 10. She made a killing, and she kept asking me about all the stuff that I make, because she sews too. I'm like, well, the vinyl that I do is a bit more complicated than regular sewing, and so it was kind of nice to talk to her. And the very first people that bought something from me paid for my table, so the amount of stuff they bought equaled out to my table payment.
Wow.
And that was the Lynns. Cassandra and Karen
really?
and Gunnar came. Yeah, then they bought some of my coffin wallets and stuff, so that was really nice.
Well, it sounds like you've had a productive week then, despite the irritations at home.
I made probably on another one of these podcasts we'll talk about it, but I made a display on a Lazy Susan for my necklaces and stuff because I've been wanting to get a little more professional in my packaging. So I've got pictures there of my packaging. I've got little cardboard that I put my necklaces in the cardboard, then I put them in the plastic, and I've got my little QR code there, and the QR code leads to my Popple website that has my networking, all of my social media, Facebook, Twitter, website.
Yeah,
and
that's something else that you did during the last week as well, right? You got the podcast up on some other platforms.
Yeah, I've got it up on Podbean, and Podbean connects to a whole bunch of others, and I just finished uploading all 5 episodes. So we're also on Google and a couple others there. If you go to Podbeam, we're New Nerd Novelties, Creative Questions, because it's a channel on New Nerd Novelties, and we got all 5 episodes up. That way you don't have to view it through YouTube with the video. It's just audio only.
Nice.
And you can download it. Yeah. And I was pretty happy with the market because I spent all night staying up making those QR codes and stuff and packaging because my friend has a scanner. So we can just scan the item, and then we have this square, and you can tap it with your Visa or your debit card and go. It's great.
Very convenient.
Unfortunately, that's a lot of work on the back end for me, though, because I have to manually enter it all. So I was up till like 5 in the morning when the market started at 10. So I got 3 hours of sleep and had an energy drink, and that was my day. It was good, though. It was really nice to get back to it. It's been 2 years since we did a market of any kind, particularly Halloween ones, because those ones make my little dark heart happy.
Yeah.
What were you doing in the last 2 weeks there, bro?
Well, I had my D&D session. We kept pushing it back because of Thanksgiving up here in Canada. We've had our Thanksgiving and just other conflicting schedule arrangements. So I did have my D&D session last weekend, which allowed me to use some of my snow terrain. And we're getting to an interesting point in this campaign where I had to ask the guys, because this is probably something I should have done near the start of the campaign, but again, I never really knew how long or if at all this campaign would last. So one of the things I did ask the guys over the last session was what their tolerance was for explicit content. Like, on the scale of family friendly to grim dark, how much do I need to circumvent or talk around events for anybody that might be squeamish. And all of the guys were universally on the grimdark side, so I don't have to pull any of my punches.
Does that mean like losing limbs and stuff because it's winter, or?
Well, the reason why it would be relevant in the coming scenarios is that they're like starting to engage on large scale conflicts, right? As they get to be more powerful and influential people in this world, their choices matter, basically, and they can affect a lot of people. So, for example, they were chasing after a group of people during this session that had kidnapped some people for whatever means they did not know. They also didn't really know whether or not they had kidnapped them alive or not, but that's a rather moot point now because they're all charred corpses when they ambushed the people that had kidnapped these people by throwing fireballs at them. So no more civilians. Yeah.
Not so friendly fire, huh?
No, certainly not if you were a civilian. But they took out the bad guys. That's the important part.
That's probably called a target-rich environment with no restrictions.
Yeah. But it is relevant to, like, especially stuff coming up because a lot of the enemies that they're going to be fighting, like up to this point in the campaign, a lot of it has been circumstantial stuff, and especially like a lot of wild animals or things like that. But they're starting to deal with people that actually are legitimately evil and don't like them. So there's a lot of potential for nastiness in the future. I just wanted to know how much censoring I would have to do, basically. And unanimously they were against it, like censorship, that is. So it's fine by me. I've never wanted to err on the side of gratuitous. That's not what I'm looking for, but I won't have to be shy either. So
yeah, I wouldn't purposely go too gratuitous, but if, occasionally it happens, right?
Yeah, I like to create the world, create the characters, and then those characters in that world will make whatever actions is appropriate for that character. So they'll still have done those actions in the family-friendly version. I would just, not focus on the more gruesome parts of their actions or, their heinous acts. But as it is now, they'll just have to deal with it. But I did make some stuff. I made some snow terrain. I had those trees that I made a while back. I put a little bit of effort, not that much, into it to make some more snowy terrain. But other than that, I've got more stuff on my plate for the next session of painting and designing and modeling.
So it looks like snowy rocks from what I could see.
Mostly, yeah. Like the snow rocks and an ice shelf and stuff like that. Just things I could use to represent a more barren landscape. I've got a whole bunch of verdant trees and not a lot of barren stuff, so besides craters, and craters don't fit every situation.
No.
So that's all I've been up to. But getting back to our main topic for today, which specifically, since our dad has done renovations across this entire house, basically every inch of it, and it's still ongoing for many years, but the most recent project that he's fully completed was the laundry room. And I don't think even Desiree's seen all of the pictures of the completed laundry room yet. So I've got them uploaded into a gallery here in the link dump.
Yeah, I took a sneak peek. Looked great.
So, yeah, Dad's put a lot of effort into this house over the years, and I'd love to hear a little bit of the story of that.
Okay,
so,
is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Sure, yeah.
Well,
why don't you take us into it?
Yeah, I was saying that there was a little bit more to it than just a hallway or a door or a pussycat in the foreground. I mean, aside from my high school experience and sort of stumbling about, as I explained to you a little while ago in our first house, is while I was working down in Burnaby, I went to school full-time in the carpenter school in BCIT at Wellington for 7 months. I worked full-time as well, and I think I counted 53 19-hour days. I had 1 day off in 7 months, so that was a little bit grueling. I did that because I wanted to learn carpentry. And so it isn't just instantly stuff. You got to learn stuff too.
I definitely remember that time. You were
Yeah, well, so do I. I was,
pretty stressful.
Then you also weren't a young chicken. When did you do that, Dad? Remember?
I was 47.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really sad that I'm saying I was 47 in the past. I mean, what's with that, anyways?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not an insignificant amount of time either.
Well, 7 months without a day off. 1 day off. I had 1 day off in 7 months. That was pretty grueling. Anyhow, it was because I wanted to either build a house or do exactly this, renovate my own house. And so I started renovating this house after we bought it. But we started, including you and Desiree and whatever teenage friends you had, to knock walls out and tear out really moldy shag rugs and pick up dog manure off, all that sort of stuff. So this house needed a lot of work when we bought it. Now, looking at our first photograph there with a pussycat in the foreground, she has to get into everything.
Yeah, standing right in front of the door that leads to the laundry room, which is a beautiful Suzanne door.
Yeah, we picked that up because it was a floor model that already had stain on it, and the box store wanted to just throw it out, but your mom wouldn't have that, so we bought it for $15. And it sat around here for probably 2 years before I finally got around to fixing that part of the stairs and the entrance to the laundry room. Now, if you look on the left side of the photo where the coats and hats are hung, that was a doorway into the downstairs bathroom. Also, a little bit further back out of the photograph was a hallway into the downstairs bedroom that Desiree had first stayed in when we first moved up here. And that's all closed off now.
Yeah, it's all closed up, yeah.
Yeah, and it's an entranceway to the house itself. So that was that space kind of evolved over the years. It was
many times, yeah.
Yeah, many times over the years, and I had to decide what I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do, and there's electrical and plumbing in behind those walls that all had to be sorted out. So there's a little bit more to it than just a pretty door.
Also,
why is it just hanging that door itself? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, why is it called a Suzanne door? We haven't told people that.
That's because that's what they called it at the box store. It was called, that was the type of door, it was a Suzanne door.
And
that's your mom's first name, so she said, I gotta have it. Well, who's gonna argue with your wife? Come on. She had it.
Well, and I was gonna say, hanging that thing must have been a bit of a chore because it's heavy as hell.
I did need your help. Yes, it is very heavy, and it needs 3 hinges to keep it from yanking the hinges loose and all that. And that takes, hanging a door is one of those things that I learned in carpentry school, well, sort of. When I had trouble hanging a door, my instructor, Luigi, would get in there, he'd hang the door and say, see, piece of cake, easy as that. But all I could see was his back. So it took a little bit of practice hanging doors before I got the hang of it. And
yeah, you've definitely said that in the past, that like you've gotten a lot better at hanging doors. And it was the same thing with putting in toilets too. Nowadays it's just nothing.
No, yeah, in and out nowadays. Yeah, well, you know what Red Green says, if you do the math, there's 20,000 wrong ways to hang a door and only 6 right ways. And the secret is, do one of the 6 ways first.
I think that people don't understand that hanging a door is hard because houses aren't perfectly square. And that...
Well, no, they never are.
And neither are the floors.
Yeah.
Not even brand new ones. The doors are more close to square. But, you know, is it plumb? Is it level? Is it leaning forward? Is it leaning back? Will a door swing closed? Will a door swing open? You've got to have a really careful eye hanging a door. It takes practice, yeah.
Yeah, well, if we go into the laundry room, past there, one of the major things that Mom wanted as a directive for the laundry room was a lot of shelving. There was that was kind of the goal of this space, I believe, was to be able to store as much stuff as physically possible. Besides being also a place to do laundry.
Well, it's more than laundry, as you can see. It's a bit of a pantry as well. That's an upright freezer there. You can see beside it the laundry sink. I moved that one 3 times since we bought the house, and that's its final resting place there. And the plumbing involved in that is pretty complex, but I managed to get her done. There's more shelving going in there, by the way. I haven't finished it quite yet.
Oh, yeah?
Above.
Yeah, there have been a few, like, additional shelves that I have voted against just because, as it is, I have somewhat broad shoulders, and it's basically like a Liam-shaped entryway at this point. Any more shelving, I'll have to step sideways. So Mom has a limit on how many boots she's allowed to get.
Yes, there'll be a yard sale soon. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. But one of the other things, and this has been a part of the house since close to when we first got it, that Mom really wanted, and I think both of you have found incredibly useful over the years, has been a laundry chute.
Yes.
You see that here in one of these pictures at the top left corner of one of these, one of the room corners. And it's directly now built into one of your cabinets upstairs in the master bedroom.
Yes, it is, Di. I'm looking at the laundry.
Yeah.
That wall with Mom's shoes.
Yeah.
Actually, that wall is Liam's closet now into his room.
It is, yeah.
That was open. It has a pocket door in it. It was open for years after I'd renovated Liam's room. So finally, he's got a closet.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next arrow.
What's the next one look
Yeah.
like? The next one is
The laundry chute.
Oh dear. I made it big, but I can't make it small again. I don't know how to do this. There we go, the laundry chute.
There we go.
Yes, that goes upstairs to the master bedroom. That long wall, that's the east side of our house. You can see the washing machine is pushed against it. That was all concrete. That was bare concrete when we bought the house. So I had to fur that out with 2x4s and put in extruded foam insulation because it was pretty cold downstairs. And Desiree can attest to that when she lived here. So that had to be insulated and sorted out. And there's both electrical and plumbing in behind that wall as well. So that was hidden in there. I can see a great big tape line. It's a laundry room, okay? So my mudding and taping was kind of rudimentary.
It has walls and insulation. It's good.
Yeah, it's actually fantastic.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of the room, it has absolutely accomplished and more. It's one of the things that when Dad renovated my room that I most wanted, especially being a painter, is I needed light. I needed a lot of light. And the remainder of the house, for the longest time, my room was by far the best lit room in the house. And the laundry room now has amazing amount of lights on multiple different switches. There's some right over the laundry tub, some just for the pantry. There's selective lighting throughout all of the house that has become a more reoccurring theme as more renovations have been done. But at one point, I was the one person that was like, no, I need light. And it's become more of a heavy focus as you've gone throughout the house.
Well, as technology it takes us further forward, all of those puck lights up in the drop ceiling are LED and low wattage, low amperage. They don't draw a lot of power. And so I can put as many of those as I want onto a single circuit, and it just counts as one appliance. And that's pretty cool. I can get carried away and wire in a whole load of those without worrying about blowing the circuits, overloading my breaker box.
Well,
So
your breaker box is also a thing of beauty, I must say.
Yeah, well, we're not going to talk about that or show it. So
No, but honestly, Mom used to keep flipping the switch all the time because she likes her pretties and her decorations for Christmas and Halloween, and you've managed that she barely ever flips that switch no more. So we appreciate it because she plugs in a lot of stuff.
For sure.
yeah, that took a lot of work, and I'm still at it in the suite that I'm preparing for you and Doran. It continues apace.
And he was
and you were talking about the puck lights you put into the drop ceiling. You also installed the drop ceiling in my room and in this laundry room too.
Yeah,
That's
the
like
drop
the finishing
ceiling is
touch.
T-bar ceiling. We call it a drop ceiling. Is going to go into the suite as well. because I've just got too much electrical and plumbing up there that it's too much trouble to close it off, and it needs to be accessible. If there's a problem, I've got to be able to get at it. Drop ceiling's perfect for that. You move a couple of panels aside and work on it if you need to.
Yep.
I think it's a good solution, and then a lot of people are probably curious about your chute there, because for a time there was just a hole in the floor, and the cats actually went into it a couple times.
The cats still go into it if you don't close the drawer.
Well, that's not fair. That chute was always there. It just wasn't finished because it's connected to the cabinets upstairs in the master bedroom, and that was an engineering project and a half just to make that look like a cupboard door. And the problem is I was left it open because I'm a slob, like all men are. And when I strip down from my bath or get ready for bed, instead of throwing my clothes on the floor, Mom says, I want the laundry chute. So she got one. And I toss it into the laundry chute. It winds up downstairs by the laundry, and it's out of sight, out of mind. But the kitties got curious, and so there was my dirty underwear and a cat down there as well.
Yeah. Well, and if we try to, like, if we're moving stuff in and out, because most of our cats are indoor cats, at least like 2 of the 3. And so if we're moving stuff in and out of the suite or whatever we might be doing, we'll put them in the master bedroom and go about our business so that they don't run outside and we have to try to chase them or get them to come back. But one of our cats, the master escapee, that just refuses to be pinned down. You put her in the master bedroom, but you don't close the laundry chute. She'll be out in a few seconds.
I think she's just having fun. She thinks it's an amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's all made to entertain her.
Yeah, just her.
Now, which photo you guys on? I haven't figured out how to make it small.
There's pantry pictures now.
Yeah.
There's a pantry to the left side of the photo and washer dryer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got that one, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, right, the pantry that wraps around the hot water tank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More storage as it is. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of people in the house. And even with the people that we do currently have in the house, Mom could fill it all by herself as it is. So. Yes,
it takes a certain amount of restraint, which seems to be lacking in some people in this household. Not me. You don't have pictures of the shop, do you? Good.
I do have pictures of the shop.
Just the corridor.
I have pictures of the shop, but I won't share them unless I have to.
Yeah, exactly.
The shop is the cleanest it's ever been in recent memory.
Yeah, well,
it's actually looking very good right now.
So I can work in there.
So the shop is actually the garage that Dad converted and actually put an insulation because there wasn't insulation in there either. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Never had a car in it. Good heavens.
No cars.
Yeah. What a waste, yeah. And it's got more benches and cabinetry that you've custom made in that shop as well. As a very nice working space.
Well, that was my practice work. I'd never made cabinets of that level before, so actually the shop was my very first project other than tearing out the walls upstairs and getting rid of those dirty rugs and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had to be the first thing that was done on the house to work on the rest of it.
All the work comes out of the shop. So, and like I say, I practiced on making cabinet carcasses and putting out cabinet doors and making drawers and stuff like that in the shop. So if I made a mistake, so what? It's a shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the pantry, we're trying to keep like a good stock up of stuff just in case we can't get it because we all have dietary needs. So I'm pretty sure that's mostly why anytime you take something out of the pantry, you just buy another one, and it's great because there'll be 5 of us and 5 cats at one point. So that's a lot of people to feed.
Yeah, and that's been a relatively new thing of like if you take a thing, put it on a list. Yeah, we've got 2 or 3 more of it, but it's never, especially for all the lactose-free and vegan stuff that we have, it's never guaranteed that it's going to be there the next time you actually need it. Mm-hmm. So, plus, Mom does a lot of growing her own herbs and spices and drying those and canning them and keeping them organized and well, preserved and stored is necessary.
Yeah, the hard part was I had to leave the furnace and a hot water heater accessible for when they need maintenance and repair. switching out. So
Yeah, the air conditioning is over in that area too, which we've definitely had to access this summer. We had to get to both sides of it, which we wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for how you designed the pantry.
yeah, well, I designed those shelves so you can move them out of the way, so we've got access to it.
Mm-hmm.
We're thankful for that. Most places that I've seen always have this little closet, which I imagine isn't so great for accessibility.
Yeah, a lot of places, the guy that's doing the renovating doesn't think about, okay, so what's next?
Yeah.
And
Or the guy that's doing the renovating isn't the guy that's living there.
Exactly. And he's not the guy that's going to be living there 10 years from now when the water heater craps out. So, that's all part and parcel of the thinking of trying to make a house a home, is that, for example, I wasn't quite that clued in about the HVAC, the heating and ventilation, when I renovated your room. The downstairs in your room only has one heater vent, but it has no cold air intake, and it's a large space, and it needs that. So now I'm looking at it years later saying, shit, I got to retrofit this somehow.
Is that Liam's room? Liam's room?
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Now, your suite also has to have a return, because it wasn't thought out when the house was initially built. The whole basement was pretty much renovated by the demented home handyman. So it was a mess, and it certainly didn't give any sort of thought whatsoever to basic things like
insulation.
Yeah, the insulation was sort of a rudimentary thing on the outside of the house. It wasn't very good. I mean, all of the plumbing leaked, and so to get at that, well, what was the point in them putting up drywall on the ceiling if you can't get at the plumbing, that sort of thing. The bathroom downstairs was vented.
I was just gonna say the venting, because all of the plumbing in the house, like all of the bathrooms, are all literally in the exact center of the house, including the one that was downstairs, and all of the venting was just non-existent.
Well, yeah, I mean, they put a dryer hose from the vent over the bathtub into the laundry room.
Into the laundry room, that's right. Oh.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's move the stinky air from in here into the laundry room. That's no. So that's the sort of thing that, I have to think of before I even get started on this, is okay.
Well, and the bathroom upstairs was vented into just insulation.
Yeah.
Into the attic, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That was a pain in the butt. Well, I've rectified that since, but, it's taken years to get to it, and I finally managed to do it. And there was a certain amount of army language happening up in that crawl space in the attic, I'll tell you. So,
I remember,
I
remember there was a time when you were up in that crawl space in between your bedroom and the kitchen, and you just stuck your head out like a skeleton. You guys put a decoration up there because that was how big the crawl space was, a person-sized. So you stuck one of Mom's full-size skeletons, sticking its head out of the crawl space, into the kitchen because it wasn't finished at the moment. It was so funny.
Yes, a small person. It was pretty claustrophobic up there. It's not the worst crawl space I've had to work in. When I was down on the coast doing my first renovations in a friend's house, it was an ancient house. It must have been 40s. And he had me up in the ceiling redoing wiring. Well, the wiring was knob and tube. It was just bloody ancient.
Oh, my God.
And the ceiling, of course, is lath and plaster. And no, actually, I think it was one of the very first drywall boards. But it had this popcorn insulation blown into it. It was full of mouse, and man, I set my flashlight down between the rafters I was spread out on, and the whole ceiling fell in. Up there, I'm looking down to the rafters, and the extra weight of my flashlight collapsed the ceiling down into the bedroom I was working on, and all that icky popcorn insulation was all over the floors, and just what a zoo.
I swear I didn't do it on purpose. But it needed it.
Yeah,
you sure needed it. Yeah. And then I had to spend weeks putting the drywall back up and trying to mud that. It was just a pain. So where are we?
So we're on to, looks like the area towards the bed.
Going towards the shop there.
Oh, towards the shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have this hallway, which actually got done before the laundry room did. But now it's fully completed. It's got its own ceiling, lighting, and it's several like specially made storage hangers and shelves and stuff like that. That whole space is all being used.
Yeah, that goes through your bedroom. When I was renovating your bedrooms, that you said, no, you can't have an entrance to the shop there, Dad. That's my bedroom.
Yeah, I don't want you walking back and forth.
The outside door to the garage so you can get in and out there. And I said, what, in the wintertime? Are you insane? So you got a bit smaller bedroom, and I got a hallway to get in and out of the shop.
Yep, this hall goes directly behind my bedroom, when previously it was just one large room.
Yeah, with
big empty space.
Again, with a concrete wall against. If you look at the photograph, looking into the hallway, that one on the left side where I've got my tools hanging, was a concrete wall that was not insulated or anything. It was just a mess.
And in that one, I have a hard time going through, so I imagine Liam does too. It's for you, Dad. It's not
for them. It's for me. Yeah. I'm a little guy.
And for the cat, because she's always running in front of me.
She seems to be foremost in that next picture.
Yeah.
She has to be the star of the show. She's up here right now, looking out the window, waiting for Mom to come home, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was taking pictures and I wasn't giving her attention, so she had to make sure.
Yeah. So
but it's been really convenient, all of this extra storage space for me as well, because now I know at least where a few things are. When I need an X-Acto knife or gloves, I can find them.
Looks like a hammer and a measuring tape too. I'm like, ooh, they're right there! Yay!
Yeah.
I haven't gotten quite that elaborate yet. I'm still working on it.
Much better than going into the shop, though, because it's cold in there.
No, the shop is insulated and it's warmed.
Yeah, it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one little convection heater in there that keeps it really quite warm. Of course, we haven't gotten to the below zero temperatures yet. We'll see.
Well, you've had that. You also have a heater that's mounted in the top of the. Is that what
that
you're talking
crapped
about?
out. That only lasted 2 years and it
died.
I guess it's not
because that was pretty effective.
on your Christmas list for this year, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Keep me from freezing to death.
Yeah. No Dad popsicle? Dad sickle?
I would prefer not, thank you.
So I think that...
But, one of the things I didn't get a picture of here, now that I'm thinking about it, is Mom has a nook here by that laundry tub that we had talked about a little bit back, that has all of her paint supplies. When you're heading out to this hallway going towards the shop, that laundry tub is right there on the left. I didn't get a picture of that, but that's a lot of Mom's easels and paints and stuff like that. I know because I raid them often for terrain paints. So she's got her own little nook there, besides the nook that's for her boots or the nook that's for the other things. But this entire space is just like, it's so well lit. It's so much better insulated than the basement has historically been. Like, once the suite gets fully done, it's going to be a completely different space. Like, it's night and day from... I wish I had some photos before, but I didn't think to take any of the laundry room because it's a completely different space, just transformative.
Mm-hmm. I think
I don't know if I have pictures of the suite space before I got started, but I do have photos of before in your room in my old phone, unless that thing is corroded away. So you might be able to switch them over.
Maybe. I took some photos of the suite today, so I've got like some befores for the suite anyway, because that's the next project that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one included replacing a bearing wall with a beam and all sorts of stuff. So that's quite an elaborate space. It's the last space in the house that needs renovating, and there's no point in me just being in a hurry and dicking around with it. I want to finish it up properly the way I've started everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the quality of work throughout the entire house has always been exceptional. If we had to hire somebody to do the amount of work that you've done on the house, well, for one, we wouldn't be able to find the quality, but for two, we would never have been able to afford it. Because when if we were to have you on again, we could definitely go over some of the other projects for the upstairs, especially like the mom's kitchen or the cabinetry that you've done in the master bedroom, or all the work that you've done on the bathrooms, or the hardwood floors that went into both like the staircase and the upstairs. There's just so much work that you've put into this entire house throughout all of the years, and all of it is just top quality stuff.
Except the outside. The outside looks kind of raggedy.
Yeah, well, we haven't touched that
That's
yet,
right. Yeah, we haven't done that yet. When we do, it'll look good. We'll pay someone to
It's
make it
on the
look good.
list.
It's on the list.
Yeah. At this point, we'll pay somebody to make it look good.
Well, I think I'm going to hire somebody to do that. I'm getting too old to haul around hardy board by myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit heavy.
I mean, we've got some beautiful like windows that we could just put in there, but who has the energy for that?
Yeah.
Well, the main window I want to get in weighs about 250 pounds, so...
And it has to go up 2 stories, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got to go in the living room 2 stories up, so...
Let's pay someone who looks like a rock to do that.
I've already talked to somebody. Sometime in the spring when it's not so cold and a big hole in the wall is not going to be too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good
Yeah.
plan.
Much better than doing a roof right now. Hint, hint, people. Shut up over there.
Doing a roof any time on the coast is a pain. Doing it here in the summertime, you'd roast to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We managed to do that the second year we were in this house.
Yeah,
as
when
we
did-
Yeah,
started.
and it only took like, what, 2 days? Unlike
weekend,
these
yeah.
yahoos?
Well, I had 2 friends and 7 kids on the roof helping me, so...
Yeah, so there's about 2.5 people working on it.
It was in the summer,
about
though,
that.
wasn't it? Wasn't it the summer?
No, it was in September.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, when our friend came up on his motorcycle, he had to ride through a rainstorm. We sat out on the back porch getting rained all over.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
thinking,
pretty
this
consistent
is
for
not
people
gonna
that
be
drive
any-
up.
This is not going to be any fun. But no, it cleared up the next day and we were good. This is not like Vancouver up here where it'll rain 285 days in a row. It's not like that here.
No.
No. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for sharing, Dad. Do we have any closing notes before I close up?
No, I also wanted to thank Dad for being our first guest here. And while we had some technical difficulties, it was actually less than I expected. So that's saying something. But it's always great to hear about some of the work that goes into the stuff around us. And while I'm not particularly knowledgeable about any of the plumbing, electrical, or multitude of other facets that Dad has put effort into making this house such a beautiful home, I can definitely appreciate the work that he has done. And I'd love to have him on again. Dad, I'd love to have you on again for other projects, not just renovations either, because there's quite a few little passion projects that you've done over the years, craft stuff that we could talk about too. And it was nice to have you on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, kids. Like I say, I look forward to standing up and receiving my Oscar at the Academy. But I won't hold my breath.
No, probably best not to wait.
I appreciate all the love and support, Dad, and yes, we do really love the house. We're all gonna go out and pawn boxes from that house.
Yeah.
So, just want to say that all of the different images that we talked about today are definitely on Liam's website on Solo Quest Creative Questions 6. Yes, we're on 6 now. Now you can get our podcast at Podbean, and Podbean also shares to Google as well as, let me see what other ones we've got.
Yeah, you can find them on Google Podcasts. I think Spotify as well.
We've
now.
got Amazon Music, we've got Pandora, and we've got Podbean. We're working on a couple others. They just take a bit of time each. But
Yeah.
we've got all of those. And then obviously on our YouTube channel, Novelties
Yes.
Creative Questions.
So there was one other thing that I wanted to actually ask you, sis, before we completely wrap up, and Dad as well, I guess, is like, what you're gonna be working on next week coming up here? Most likely podcast stuff, I would assume, but we've got Mom's Halloween party coming up,
Yeah.
and that's generally a really big thing.
I have to
In the year.
still adjust the skirt for my costume from the last time we did a podcast. I haven't actually touched it because of the market. So I'm adjusting my Bride of Frankenstein skirt, and then I should hopefully be ready. If not, I have to tailor the coat as well.
Yeah, I should probably put together a costume for the party that's on, Saturday or
Saturday,
whatever?
yes. It's currently Wednesday. Dory's actually figured out what he's going to wear, so he's
Nice.
doing a gender bent.
Oh, actually, no, I did figure out what I was going to do. Okay, that's right.
And then
Right. I just need to find some gauze.
Okay, gauze is good.
Yeah.
Tell Mom.
Yeah.
And Dory's doing something gender bent. I'll share that with pictures probably next week.
Nice.
And then
Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff to do for the D&D campaign. Some miniatures, some terrain, some designing of a game. Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff I probably won't have the energy to do all of.
just do what you can. Dad, has Mom made you a costume yet?
I think that my costume designer has something in mind, so come the event, my makeup artist and costume designer will just go right to work on me.
Yeah, so Mom's
And,
that's me as the makeup artist and Mom is the costume designer, by the way.
Yeah, listen, it's nice to have a staff, okay? And what I'm doing next week is working on more on the electrical in the suite because it's just enough to make my brain hurt.
Yeah.
That's because I make
Well,
I
and
make things...
the real thing I would like you to endeavor is this time no accidents around Halloween.
Yes, please.
For of any kind.
No,
Unrelated or
you mean
related
this year,
to
right?
the party.
this year, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
not
year.
this year, right?
Yeah.
We won't
Okay.
mention the time you got set on fire.
Yeah. Or broke
Hey,
your
I didn't
ribs,
set me on fire.
Or yeah.
Or broke 2 ribs?
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
not do
Yeah,
that.
we won't even talk about
No,
that. No.
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 So this is the brother-sister pair bringing you creative questions with our father, our guest host, very first one.
Howard Hewlett, thank you very much.
Have yourself a great
Thanks,
day.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a
Bye.
good day.